So today we're going to talk about expireds and for sale by owners because they are definitely still a good market and niche to tap into. I first would like to go over expired listings, which obviously are houses that didn't sell that should have. My approach towards these, I've gotten listings before that were expired listings, whether I pursued it or whether they just ended up getting referred to me or something. And many a times I've sat there after doing the paperwork and I see this pile and they're like, yeah, this is all the people that's been contacting us and mailing us and calling us about listing our house. And they have literally a stack high of stuff they've gotten in the mail. Stuff from manila envelopes to packets to cards to letters, everything, you name it. I've almost been like, ooh, can I look at that to see what they're sending you? But obviously it didn't work because they got a ton of it and did nothing with it. So my approach towards expireds is not necessarily to mail them. My approach is more direct. I feel like, the best approach is face-to-face and in person. So what I've usually done is I've pulled up the expireds. And how I pull up the expireds, lots of times, does anybody on here not know how to pull up expireds? And how to search for them. I mean, first you got to pull up the expireds, and I usually pick a list date, maybe the last 30 days. So they're more recent, so you have more of an opportunity to pursue those expireds versus ones that expired 3 months ago. You'd have to go through that list and you have to cross-reference it and make sure that expired MLS listing is not now relisted with the new MLS. Otherwise, it's a big waste of time showing up at their house and they've already relisted. So, and another thing to think about too is some people maybe tried to sell fall of last year or spring of last year, and they wanted to wait till this spring, but then they're unsure how the market is because of COVID. Well, we're here to tell them that realtors are taking the precautions, they are taking the safety instructions that are needed, and people are looking at houses, people are staying safe, interest rates are great, and it's a wonderful time to sell right now. Inventory is low, rates are low, it's a win-win. So anyway, there's different ways you can pull up expireds. It could be from last year, it could be this year. I usually like to start with all the recent expireds and go after those first. So what I do is I pull up the MLS, I click expired, and then I click for the last 30 days. And then you're gonna go through that list and, print it out, whatever you wanna do, and then you're going to type in the address in the little quick search at the top of the MLS and make sure it hasn't relisted. So after I've done all that, figured out the ones I'm going to look at, I then take those expired listing MLSs, I put them in the quick search bar and I map it out after I've printed them, and I figure out what order I'm going to go visit them, because I'm not going to mail them, I'm not going to call them, I'm actually going to go visit them. We found, even though with a lot of people working from home right now, it's best to visit expireds usually in the evening or weekends. So I would say anywhere from like 5 to 7 during the week or sometime on the weekend. And what my approach is I know we have been doing this and we actually haven't had any issues with people saying, oh, get off my porch, COVID. Of course, you can carry your mask and you can ask them, if they want you to put it on or whatever. But it's been good so far. Some people have had excuses that they felt like, it just expired recently or expired in March. And because of COVID, they were going to wait. And I feel like it's our job as, an advisor to educate them that, there's really no reason to wait. The people are out there and there's still high demand for houses on the market. But what I usually do is I will get the admin. I don't know if you guys can see this a little bit. I guess it's backwards, but it's a sticker. It says, I won't keep your home a secret, and it has popcorn on it, because what I do, it's a little shipping mailing label, and I'll actually stick it on a bag of popcorn, usually Pop Secret. So it kind of goes with, I won't keep your home a secret. And it's just something silly, something stupid to give them, but I go to their door, ring the doorbell, knock on the door, whatever, and they answer it. I step back from the door and then say, hi, how are you? I'm Becky Parker with Hometown Realty. I was in the neighborhood, I saw your house isn't on the market anymore. Do you still plan on selling? And then at that time, they usually say, you know, yes, we just weren't able to, or no, we're taking a break. And I might say, well, I'm really sorry to hear that. You know, I specialize with houses that should have sold that didn't. Do you know maybe why your house hasn't sold? And then they might go into, well, I don't know, I think it's COVID. That's what we've been getting a lot. It was COVID, you know, so that's why, you know, I don't think we're getting many showings. And then I might ask them, well, how was the activity? And then they might say, well, we only had like 1 or 2 showings a month. And I'd be like, oh, that's, you know, really a shame. You probably should have been having multiple showings a week. I'd love to take the time to meet with you whenever you're available now, or we can plan something in the near future for me to come by and take a look at your house. What their feedback was from showings. Their feedback was, you know, they needed to paint, you know, and, you know, because they had kids, you know, the walls are a little rough upstairs, but anybody's going to paint anyway. So, of course, you know, go on the market in a month or 2. So we're staying in touch with her, but I would go to her house, visit, and if it looks like it really needs to paint, I would suggest, hey, a lot of people's money is tied up in their house. You know, if I have a contractor that can come by and get your house painted and get paid at closing, would that be something that would interest you? And they'd be like, wow, that would be a solution because we don't have time to paint. And, you know, if that was the feedback before, you know, it's something I offer. So again, I really feel like the face-to-face is the best approach for the expireds. It also kind of tells them, wow, you know, this realtor has gone to my house, rang my doorbell, either was in the neighborhood, maybe saw that my sign was up before, now seen the sign that is down, and has actually taken the time to approach me and to offer their services. That's somebody pounding the pavement. That means a little bit more than something in the mail. So I have had good success with that. I've never had anybody say, get off my porch, or, you know, we're not, you know, I've never had anything negative happen, actually. Someone might just say they're not interested in selling right now, or something, and say, okay, well, that's fine. Well, if anything changes, here's my card, and or hand them the little popcorn with the little, I won't keep your home a secret sticker on it. Kind of cute and catchy, just something they can think of you when they pop the popcorn if they do and eat it. And it's really, I just think, again, face-to-face with the expireds is the way to go. Now, if I ring the doorbell twice and nobody comes to the door, I don't get anybody, then I'm going to go back to my office. Well, I'm going to leave at the door my business card and a little popcorn that says, I won't keep your home a secret, you know, give me a call, you know, whatever. And then I will go back to the office and I'll write a little handwritten note and put my card in it. It's just much more personable. You can get these from your admin at the office, and let them know, you know, came by your house. Sorry I missed you. I specialize with homes that should have sold that didn't. I would love to pop by and visit with you in the near future and let you know what I can do to get your house sold, whether it's now or later down the road. And then again, maybe go by the house one more time after that. So I would say 3 points of contact is kind of the key. First, to go by the house. If you don't get them, you know, write the handwritten note, and then maybe go back again a week later. Maybe just missed them, maybe they're busy. If you do get them at the door, great. What you're gonna wanna do, like recently, I knew they were in the backyard with their kids playing in the pool, but I went to the front door anyway, because that's the polite, approachable thing to do. And then when I was leaving, the driveway was right there, the backyard was right there. I was with one of our other agents, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go in the backyard. That's more like, you know, private because it's the backyard. But it was fine. I just kind of looked over the fence, said, hey, you know, I came to the front door, but, you know, I was in the neighborhood. I saw your house. You know, they actually had the sign up, but it was an expired listing. And she said the realtor was supposed to take the sign down. But she again explained that they do still have a need to sell and they still want to sell. And anyway, I got her phone number and, you know, asked her to, you know, give us a call when she was ready. But of course, we're going to stay in touch with her. And how we're going to stay in touch, since she's not ready to go on the market right this second, is we're going to keep an eye on the neighborhood. We're going to see what houses come up, what goes under contract, be able to call her, hey, I don't know if you're the one down the street from you, you know, went up for sale for $369. It already went pending in 5 days. You know, just to be, again, an advocate and to give that type of information to them, I think is really important. But I think keeping a running list of expires is important. I've gotten, you know, $450,000 houses that are on the water. I've gotten less expensive ones. And then of course those sales lead into other sales, which is usually the house they're buying. So it's a really good thing to do. But for me, I do have those letters where you can mail an expired and it's all standard and you can just auto populate it and do a mail merge and stick them in the mail. But I think your rate of response is going to be really weak because a lot of people mail. So again, my approach is going to their door. So does anybody have any questions about that? If you do, just unmute it and let me know. And if not, I can go on to expireds. Has anybody on here gone to the door of an expired before? Or has anybody here had success with expireds with mailing them or writing a card or anything? Okay, well, maybe it's something new you haven't done yet that you want to try. And again, I think it's a great thing to tap into because number one, they've worked with a realtor already. Number two, they usually have motivation or reason to sell. That's why they're on the market. And number three, lots of times they just need to, you know, get it out and vent what their problem was with the realtor, and you can tell them you're sorry to hear that. Lots of times people say, yeah, you know, they stuck the sign in the yard. We didn't really have showings, but like a couple, I don't really know how they went. I never heard from a realtor. They didn't give me feedback. And then you just feel bad for them that that's the type of service they received. And then you ensure them that, you know, you won't provide that type of service, that you provide something completely different. And that you would love to take a look and see what maybe went wrong the first time. So I would say, I'm sorry I don't have notes on this, so if you want to take notes, that would be great. But again, the first thing I say when I go to the door is I specialize with, well, first of all, I might say, hey, I was in the neighborhood. I saw your house isn't on the market anymore. Do you still plan on selling? And then I let them know that I specialize with houses that should have sold that didn't. And then try to obviously get an appointment to take a look at their house to see what might have went wrong the first time. So those are kind of the three things with expireds that I go after. And then with for sale by owners, I take a completely different approach with that. A lot of for sale by owners, you know, they'll even have in the write-up, please, you know, no realtors, we're not listing, you know, because they do get a lot of realtors who call them because they just want to list their house. I don't go with it at that approach. I'll call them and let them know that I might have a buyer for their house. And I was wondering if there's a good time that I can take a look and preview their house. So I'd set up that initial appointment, I'd take a look at their house. I'd engage with them, maybe ask them how the feedback has been, how showings have been. They might say they've had a ton of showings, or they're getting a ton of calls, but no one's made an offer. You know, just try to get feedback to try to understand, you know, what type of activity they're having. Like, gosh, you know, I guess you're not working, so that's how you're available to show these houses. You know, usually when a for sale by owner first goes in the market, they're super motivated because they feel like they can do all the advertising, especially with the low inventory, and they don't need a realtor. Most of them are willing to work with a realtor for a buyer. So again, my approach with the for sale by owners is, number one, letting them know I might have a buyer for their house. Number two, getting an appointment for a preview. And then number three, just engaging with them, trying to find out, like, how are you doing your advertising? You know, how are you screening buyers? Are you making sure they're pre-approved before being shown the home? I find a lot of times where they say, no, you know, a lot of people, they say they're pre-approved. And I say, well, then, you know, have you gotten a copy of their pre-approval letter before being, you know, showing them the house? And lots of times they would say no. They just said they were pre-approved. So, you know, I pretty much sympathize with them, let them know that, you know, of course, I have buyers that call me all the time, say they've been pre-approved or they know that they're fine, and come to find out they're not, or they got pre-approved last year, and that last year pre-approval, things have changed, circumstances have changed, you know, credit score restrictions, loan limitations have changed, and that pre-approval is no longer good. So what I do is I let them know I have this awesome lender with Town First Mortgage, and to give them a call, and what he can do is pre-approve your buyers in 10 minutes. It takes 10 minutes over the phone. There is no reason why you should not be getting that pre-approval from your potential buyer before wasting your time showing them the house or taking time away from your day showing them the house. I also will let them know that Town First will actually give this prospective buyer a $100 gift card just for quoting the loan. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but I always tell my clients in general, it's good to compare apples with apples when you're comparing a loan. And Town First will give them a $100 Visa gift card, no strings attached. They don't use them, no problem. They get $100 just to quote it. So that, just giving that information that, hey, you know, it's just being a helpful resource to the for sale by owner is the right approach with that, because they are definitely have their walls up. They don't want a realtor. They think they can do it on their own. They can stick a sign in the yard. They can put it on Zillow. They can get calls. They have a friend who's an attorney. They, you know, got a purchase agreement off of, you know, Staple Max or Office Max or whatever, and they can do it all on their own. So anyway, again, I provide with for sale by owners more of a resource to be helpful in helping them get their house sold, not asking for the listing. So one, I give them the business card of the lender that I use and let them know that it takes 10 minutes over the phone. There's no reason why anybody that wants to look at your house can't do that. Plus, they get a $100 Visa gift card just for them giving them a quote, and it'll save that person's time. Then I would let the for sale by owner know, hey, if you do use him, you do get somebody pre-approved and the house doesn't work out for them, if you could please give me a call with that prospective buyer's name and number, I'll be happy to follow up with them and find the right house for them. So you could actually get buyer leads from that for sale by owner. The other thing I would do with the for sale by owner is stay in touch. I mean, I would even offer to host an open house for them. Let them know that, you know, anybody that comes through that, you know, you could obviously you'd want to be representing that buyer and be compensated for that. So if they're open to that, that's a great way for you to get leads, and a great way just to show them that you're being helpful without agreeing to the total 6% because you would be representing the buyer. Another thing I've done before is let them know that I'd be more like, as you're staying in touch, like maybe you call them next week, you know, how are showings going? I'm still trying to find a buyer for your house. They might vent that they've showed it a bunch, or they think they have somebody interested, but they, you know, they don't have the offer yet, or whatever the situation might be. And offer to let them know that, hey, I'll look at your write-up on the house. Maybe I can help come up with more of a description about your house. You know, are you mentioning that, you know, your son, you have the sunroom, maybe you should talk about all the light that comes in the house, or just whatever to improve their ads. So just, again, to be very helpful. Now, I'm not going to tell them that they should use a professional photographer, because I use a professional photographer, and if they think they're professional with their photos, I'm going to let that be. But at the end of the day, when they have not been able to sell their house, who are they going to call when they're ready? They're going to call the realtor that's been in touch with them from the beginning, who's offered their lender, who's offered to do an open house, who's offered to take a look at their write-up on their ads, to give some helpful tips on going in as a for sale by owner. I actually used to have a booklet that I would give them about being a for sale by owner, about tips, about, you know, descriptions on the listing, you know, just about everything they need to know as far as third parties that are involved, title search, that kind of thing. And then, of course, I obviously would probably let them know that third party negotiation is like one of the #1 reasons to have representation. And myself personally, I represent my clients better than I represent myself, because when I'm emotionally attached to something, I do not negotiate as good for myself. So, you know, being their respective realtor, especially with multiple offers, there's so many things to look at. And so many things to look at with, pre-approvals, and everybody seems to go on the internet nowadays and get pre-approved with, unfortunately, I have a deal that I recently accepted an offer on, and we had 11 offers, and they agreed to speak with my call with Town First. So we accepted their offer, knowing that they're already pre-approved with Financial Something Network, which I was not familiar with them, but the agent let me know that they're very big in Maryland and DC. So I said, okay, they're pre-approved. They made the best offer out of 11 offers. We're going to go with them. And I got them willing enough to work with our lender. My call is Town First. Unfortunately, I've accepted that offer, taken it off the market, and my call pulled their credit, and they had a 600 credit score. Now, there's nothing I can do about that at this time, because when their credit was pulled at the other lender, apparently it was a 620, and that lender says they can do the loan. But there's just a lot of things to look out for. So I just feel like being the voice of reason and information to the for sale by owner, not to be pushy, but just to offer help and offer, tips and assistance along the way, and kind of stay in touch. I think there's nothing wrong. I think you can only gain from it. You can gain buyers from the ones that, it's not working out for them, because you are offering help and assistance. They might want to help you with referring these buyers to you so you can pick up leads. And then again, when they haven't been able to sell, they're going to call you, or maybe they get a buyer and they're like, oh, this buyer doesn't have a realtor. I'm kind of uncomfortable about the whole thing. I haven't done this before. I don't want to mess up. I'm willing to compensate you. Will you come in and help on this transaction? So that's kind of my approach with sale by owners. So I hope all this has been helpful. I don't really know what else to offer besides you got to get out there and do it. Do you guys have any questions or anything I can help with?
Becky, this is Liz Pace Chambers, and I'll have to see if Patricia Pace and I are related somehow. So hi, cousin. I'd love to know, like, what is your conversion rate on these, right? Like, the expireds, that's not a huge time investment, right, to do a stop by, give them some information, that sort of thing. But some of what you're talking about, right, with the FSBOs, that's a big investment of time that you're making in some cases.
Yeah, so you got to limit it. Like, you can't, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. I think the sound is a little bit wonky.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, with expireds, for instance, I went out the other week, and we figured out the time wasn't the best because we weren't hitting a lot of them. So we went for 2 hours, and I think we only talked to 3 people, and we went by like 8 houses. But the one was the one that I told you about. They just gave me her phone number, name and number, and told me to contact her in a couple months because she thinks she'll be selling. So of course she went back to the office with a handwritten note. We're going to stay in touch, letting them know about neighborhood updates. And literally for 2 hours of our time to get this one listing that is, I think, $375,000, or around that price range. Obviously the 2 hours was well worth it. You could go, I've gone in the past where you've gone all week, I usually only do it for like a couple hours on a weekend, maybe a Friday and a Saturday. And I mean, you're bound to probably at least get one that's willing to talk with you and list with you. And usually I get more than that. And again, it can be frustrating when, no one's coming to the door and you hear them inside and they just are not coming to the door. So, you kind of just got to let it go, and you just leave your popcorn at the door, you write them a handwritten note, and then they're like, wow, we didn't answer the door to this person. They left this at the door and they're writing a handwritten note. I guess if, we're thinking about still selling, we still have this need to sell for whatever reason, maybe we will give them a chance to reach out to them. Nobody else has done that. They just have a stack high of stuff in the mail. So with expireds, I think it's very good. With for sale by owners, as far as time invested, you don't want to spend too much time. You don't want it to end up in this relationship where they're like using you for a ton of information. So you can't divulge all the information, but you give them bits and pieces and a little bit, and remind them on maybe why they would want representation. And again, kind of bug them like, hey, if you have anybody that doesn't work out, please let me know. You know, I'm still keeping your house in mind. I'm still telling other realtors in the office about your house, since you're willing to work with a realtor on the buyer's end, you know, that kind of thing. But you don't want to be, you don't want to be acting as their realtor and giving them a lot of help when you're not hired to be their realtor. But you can offer maybe a contractor, offer that you can get them an estimate to get maybe something painted or something fixed that they might need, just to be a good resource. I feel like we'll end in, let's say that FSBO owner did sell their house for some reason, you got nothing out of it. Maybe you have such a good relationship with that FSBO owner, they're going to refer you to other people, or again, hopefully you'll get a buyer from it, that kind of thing. So, but I think expireds are number one, and then I think for sale by owners, which might be a little bit more time involved depending, but you never know. It could be a sale by owner that's had a sign in the yard for 3 months, they're sick of it, they're done showing the house, they're not really getting anywhere, and obviously that's your opportune time to go in and, you know, get that listing. So
Cool. Thank you.
you're welcome. So does anybody have any other questions? Expires or for sale by owners? All right, well, I guess that's it. So thank you everybody for coming, and maybe we'll host this again in another month, and I'll have some more material to give you or anything. Let me know if you have any questions or if I can help in any way, and I'd be happy to. So
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. You have a good day.
You
Too.
too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.